Oh, so I'll take notes. Since,
Thank you. I do think that Sean is coming tonight. He's
I
attending.
thought he was, but in case he doesn't, I'll take notes.
Rachel on Sunday when she and her partner were frantically packing up and preparing to lose everything.
Okay, it is 6:30 on Wednesday, November 17th. I'm going to call to order the West End Neighborhood Council meeting. I'd see what is our numbers here today? It looks a little short. I can't see everything. Welcome, liaisons. I appreciate you being here. And if we have any attendees out there, welcome. First, we're gonna here's the agenda. It's short tonight. It's November. Our biggest thing is our elections, and you're kind of looking at the board now. So do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
I move we accept the agenda.
All right, thank you. Then we'll go with the short agenda for this evening. Thank you. And next, I'm going to put up over my messy screen the just so we have it, the minutes. So our board members in attendance tonight are Brian Depew, treasurer, Jean, who's taking notes, and myself, Sherry Celine. We are losing board members left and right. We have 3, no particular reason. Some people have just spent 4 years on the board and are getting off, or they've moved to the north end, or other reasons for having to leave. So we now have our minutes to accept, and we're going to lose a good secretary in Sean. Last month was very informative with the liaisons, and especially Leslie Barstow had a lot of stuff on the port. So these are our very good minutes from last week. Would anyone like time to read them? Or can we accept our minutes from last month?
I make a motion we approve the minutes from last month.
Does anyone oppose that? All right, thank you. We'll accept the minutes from last month. Okay, and I'm going to stop my share and see. All right. So, Brian, we're going to go with you with the treasurer's report.
All right. The only activity we had since the last meeting was a credit of 12 cents for interest. So our current balance is at $7,233.91.
All right, and how much of that is the grant money?
The grant money is, I should have known you'd ask me that. The grant money is about 2,200 of that.
All right, and I do know that I have
Harry,
put
what grant money is?
Well, there was money that is funding from the city of Tacoma.
Oh, okay.
And the grant money was the money that was from the original.
Okay.
253 grant that actually you guys got.
the litter-free 253 monies, which we're going to use for 500 of that, of the litter-free monies at Titlow Park if we get a Make a Splash grant. That's going to be our donation. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the treasurer? All right, we're going to go into updates from the City of Tacoma liaisons, and I'm going to start with Anna Braw, our police liaison.
Hi. So with TPD, we have our chiefs, the 4 final candidates for chiefs being interviewed right now. That's a big thing for us. You can watch it on Tacoma TV, I believe. And I know they're streaming it all over the Tacoma websites. Big issue that I'm working on, and so is my partner Mike, is South 10th and Mildred. We have a gentleman who's made himself at home in a van there, right just south of Hunt. And due to some recently established case law, we can't just tow his car anymore. So we have to work through city resources, and it's a work in progress. We know he's there. We know it's unpleasant for the kids in the morning as they're going to school, but we're working on it. We're out there every week, at least once a week. And so is Comprehensive Life Resources. So we're working on it. Another thing is we arrested one of the arsonists just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the ones that was doing the churches. So that's a bonus. That's what I have.
Boy, the south end of the west end has been busy, huh?
Yes, yes, it has.
Okay. Let's see. Can we go with Pierce County? Nathan Bevel.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Nathan Bevel, Pierce Transit. So for us, I wanted to let everyone know on Thanksgiving, Pierce Transit will be running a reduced service Sunday schedule on all of our routes. And speaking of reduced services, on November 7th, we had to implement an emergency service change, a service reduction of about 10% due to our operator shortages. We're still experiencing a large vacancy in our operators ranks. So if anyone knows of anyone looking for a new career, please send them Pierce Transit's way. We'd love to have a conversation with them. We have everything right now from operators up to our executive director of finance and IT positions that we're recruiting for right now, and everything in between. With that, also like to promote our on-demand runner service for any holiday shopping, especially in the Ruston way. So you can schedule via phone or on an app, and it works just like Uber and Lyft. If you have an Orca card, you can flash that or an all-day pass, and that'll work as well. Pierce Transit is continuing to move forward with our carbon neutral footprint. Currently today, 80% of our buses operate on CNG. We have 13 that are hybrid electric, 5% that are running on battery, and 2% on diesel. And so we're continuing to move forward with that. And we just started working with responsibly sourced natural gas to fill that 80% of our fleet that's operating on CNG. We put out a press release earlier this month. MultiCare is sponsoring our first bus rapid transit line. So they're going to be the main name line sponsor for that. And they will have naming rights of a couple of stations near their location as well, with the Tacoma Dome, or near the Tacoma Dome station as well. And then our Orca system is aging and needs replacement. And so early next year, we're going to be rolling out the first portions of that Orca Next Gen system. So be on the lookout. We'll be sharing more information as time gets closer. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Nathan. Appreciate it. All right, and the fire department. Gil?
Good evening, Gil Barthay, Battalion Chief of the Tacoma Fire Department. We just have a quick fire safety message tonight that's centered around the holidays that are starting to come up. And it's reminding people about cooking fire safety, that the risk of kitchen fires greatly increases during the holiday season. And Thanksgiving is actually the peak day for home cooking fires in the United States. The key to preventing these type of kitchen fires is attentive cooking, and unattended cooking being the leading cause of home fires in the United States. So we're just asking everybody to be sure you're paying attention when you're cooking. Don't leave anything unattended on a stove or any type of burner. If you're doing a deep fried turkey, definitely be sure you have a safe, proper setup away from any structures or people that could be injured by that. And we wish everybody a very happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Thank you. All right, and who else do we have for liaisons? Walt?
Good evening, Walt Birdsall from the Tacoma Pierce County Health Department. I work in the Dirt Alert program. That's all about arsenic and lead left over from the smelters. So if you have any questions about that, I'd be more than happy to help you. And I've always mentioned that we do a free soil test too. So if you know of anybody that has kids running around in the yard, or I hope you're out there gardening, which you're probably not doing this time of year. But I would like to mention, I get a Pierce County COVID-19 update every week. And I want to say that today we confirmed 229 COVID-19 cases and unfortunately 7 new deaths. A woman in her 40s from Tacoma, a man in his 40s from Tacoma, a man in his 50s from Edgewood, Fife, Milton, a man in his 50s from Graham, a woman in her 50s from Puyallup, a woman in her 80s from Central Pierce County, and a woman in her 50s from Tacoma. You know, at one time, we were seeing these reports for a lot of older folks. It was thought to be, you know, a disease that was affecting older folks, but these ages are kind of shocking that it's getting younger people. So I just wanted to mention that. And if there was ever a reason to get vaccinated, that's it. Thank you.
Is there any update on the vaccinated or the vaccinated in the hospital?
I don't have that information. That's kind of not my area. But if you want to find out that information, I would go to the Tacoma Pierce County Health Department website. And if you click on that yellow bar right on across the top, it has great amounts of information like that could answer your questions.
All right, thank you. All righty, Ted Richardson, City Manager's Office.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for the weird camera angle. I'm in my kitchen. Seems like I always end up with weird camera angles at the West End. But 3 updates for tonight, all legislative updates. So last Tuesday, the City Council passed an expansion of our multifamily tax exemption program. So what that is they are tax exemptions for developers who are building apartment buildings. And so that program was already in place. What this did was expand the areas along transit corridors where these buildings can be built. This is for the 12-year and 20-year. They did 12 years or 20 years of tax exemption based on how many affordable units they put into the building. So essentially it's a trade of tax exemption or no taxes for affordable units. And then the other big legislative change that came out of this was that the affordable units now can only be 70% of the Pierce area median income instead of 80%. So they can be built in more places and the income has to be lower. So the hope is that it'll increase the number of places where the city allows not extremely affordable, but more affordable than market rate units to be built. So that happened last Tuesday. Yesterday at City Council, the tide flats non-interim regulations were passed. So that means that we will no longer have to go through the 6-month drama of having to repass interim regulations, which had been happening for about the last 4 years. I can put the link to the page in the chat. There is a big reduction in where fossil fuel expansion can happen, or if at all. But I do apologize, I'm not a lawyer or planner, so the details of fossil fuel facilities or transport facilities I don't know a ton about, but I'll put that link in the chat. And then finally, Home in Tacoma, it had its first reading at City Council last night, and the final reading will be on November 30th. But final is an odd word to use in this case because it's the final reading of phase 1, which essentially is the policy side of it. Phase 2 will begin in the new year, and that is more the what the buildings can actually look like, the height requirements, how far back from the road they can go, the more technical pieces that I think people are fairly concerned about, versus right now, the big piece was what parts of the city could be zoned at low scale, which is duplexes, triplexes, nothing that would really be bigger than the houses already there. And then what parts of the city can be considered mid-scale, which are small apartment buildings, up to 4 stories in some places. And so the current proposal for Home in Tacoma is that 17.5% of the city would be at mid-scale. And then the rest of the areas that are currently single family zoned would move to low scale, which, sorry, my dog is whining and stuff. The rest of the city would move to low scale, which are the duplexes and triplexes. Did that all make sense? Any questions?
I have a question. I listened last night up until the last person from the community, and then
I'm
I
impressed.
had to sign off. Did I miss something beyond the testimony?
About the tide flats? You listened
No,
until the end of the
about
tide
Home
flats
in Tacoma.
testimony?
I guess it was a combination of Tide Flat and Home
Right.
in Tacoma. Was there any voting last night on Home in Tacoma?
There was no voting on Home in Tacoma last night.
Okay,
That happens on November 30th.
November 30th. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, of course.
Any other questions?
No, but if you can
I
put
want-
that, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Gene.
Oh, I was just gonna say, were you gonna put it in the chat? That would be great. Those links.
All three?
Or, yeah, that would be great. Just so
Yeah,
we
of
can
course.
keep them going.
Ted, I had one question. You mentioned 17.5% of the area would be the mid-level. And I heard that's quite a bit down from both of the original proposals. Do you remember the percentages on some of the original proposals? How much would be
I'd have to look up to get it exactly right. My brain is jumping to 32% mid-scale.
That's about what I thought. So thank you.
It is a reduction, and I also know that there are a lot of rumors swirling around that there are going to be several amendments to be introduced. So the proposal as is, I don't think will be the final version.
Now would be on November 30th that the proposals.
The amendments should be, the hope is that they're introduced by next Tuesday so that the council members have a week to review them, because none of them like being surprised the day of. But that's the hope. Not to say that never happens the day of. But yeah, so the final reading of phase 1 is November 30th, which is where they take the vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll put those 3 links in the chat.
All right, and Dr. Gaines.
Hello, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I'm always a little late to this meeting because I have one prior to it. And then I've been out because my wife delivered our son. So I've been out on leave. And so we have a little baby. I'm a little tired. So I did not put on a button up. So I'm going to keep my, my camera off. I hope that's okay. And I'll be quick this evening. So when I came back, I wanted to, as you all know, the utility, they always have a new program. I guess we always have a new program or something cool that we're doing. But one thing that is a little disheartening is that there's so many folks right now that are behind on the utility bill. And there's a lot of funds available to help support people that are behind on the utility bill. And I think the disconnect is that this program is being run by the county. So Pierce County is running this program, and the only advertisement that they have, it leads with rental assistance, which is equally or just as important. But within that program, there's also utility assistant and funds available. And so if I could just, I'll put a link in the chat if you all can help me just spread the word. And if you know folks that need help, please, please, please have them apply. I know there's been some workshops taking place in different areas put on by the county, but I'll continue to share this information until the funds dry up. Because if there's money there, and this is the best way, the only way we can use them. And so I think it's important that we just share that with folks, as we don't know what the future holds, but as things go back to the norm, eventually the utility will have incorporate, our disconnect policies and different things that we have in place right now. We do not have those. Great, and I'm grateful for that. But eventually, as things go back to normal, we will incorporate those. The second update I want to share is in regards to EV charging at residential homes. There's a current incentive. If you install a level 2 charging at your home, you can receive up to a $600 credit. And I'll post a link in the chat with more information on that. But I know some communities have asked about just EV charging stations for your home. I know there was a grant program that we had in regards to commercial buildings, and now this is something for residential customers, which is a unique program. You can receive up to $600, and I'll add a link that provides more of the parameters and details on that program. And I am available for questions. If you all have any, please let me know.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question. Is there a part of either a rebate or some sort of assistance for those tankless hot water heaters? I thought there was something at one point.
There is, yeah. So we don't look. I'm trying to get the right words out. So we do have a rebate for water heaters. I'm not sure if tankless is on there. I know we currently have a $500 rebate. And so you could just go to like Lowe's or either Home Depot, and you purchase a certain type of a smart water heater, they will take the $500 off. So there's nothing you actually need to, no paperwork you need to fill out. And then there's a lot of other rebates. And so I would take a quick glance, but what I'll also do, I'll post the link in the chat as well, because there are from shower heads to windows to, there's so many different rebates that we offer. And so I'll post a link in the chat for that as well. Thank you.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, and Doug Hostetter from Tacoma Public Schools.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'll try to stay as brief as possible. First thing that I wanted to share with everybody is that the school board recently voted to put the renewal of 2 school funding levies on the February 8th ballot. The first levy is the traditional education programs and operations levy, which provides approximately 15% of our district's budget and funds the basics beyond what the state of Washington funds. So that's levy number 1. Levy number 2 is the technology levy, which voters first enacted in 2014. And this levy will continue to provide the computer hardware, software, technology support personnel, cybersecurity, and other systems that support our one-to-one devices for all our students. If you didn't know, Tacoma Public Schools has provided a laptop to every student in our district, and that was because of the generosity of voters in 2014. And so in February 8th, we're asking voters to renew their commitment so that we can continue to provide those computers to students. Just FYI, 100% of our current TPS employees are now in compliance with the COVID vaccine order as per the governor's October 18th deadline. So that's great news. One of the earlier speakers talked about, I think it was Pierce Transit, talked about availability of jobs. Boy, our district is paying bonuses for nurses, LPNs, bus drivers, paraeducators, bus monitors, nutrition services, noon hour supervisors, and school support personnel. So if you know anyone that's interested in working for the schools, we've got signing bonuses available for them, and they can just visit our tacomaschools.org website for more information there. And then in terms of element of school construction updates, Downing, which is on our west end. If you've driven by Downing recently, you could see that the shell of the new Downing Elementary School is complete, so that we can begin indoors no matter what the weather. And we know the weather hasn't been great lately. And so it's great that we have the shell for Downing. A lot of that is complete, and you can continue to watch the progress as you drive by. Skyline Elementary isn't quite as far along, but you'll see that there's steel wall and roof panels that are starting to create the structure of the new Skyline. And again, that building is scheduled to open in the fall of 2022, so for the next school year. And then Hunt, which we all know has been in operation since the beginning of the year, If you want to take a tour, you can go to our tacomaschools.org website, and you can see a 7th grader and a 6th grader kind of give you a virtual tour of what the new Hunt Middle School looks like. So those are Tacoma Public Schools' updates. And I can
Very
take questions if there are any.
Thank you so much. That was very informative. You had a lot of
Great.
news.
A lot of news. Thank you very much.
All right, any questions? All righty, and I see our librarian. There's Michelle? Okay, the mask.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle. I'm a librarian here at Swayze Library. Dr. Gaines mentioned assistance with utilities and rent, and we are having a workshop here at Swayze on Saturday, December 18th at 10 a.m. Tacoma Pro Bono and Pierce County Human Services will be here to help people answer any legal questions and guide them through the paperwork to sign up for help with their utilities or their rent. And we have other workshops that are going to be going on at other libraries as well. Just a note that on Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we do close at 6 p.m. that evening instead of our usual 8 p.m. We are continuing to have COVID tests here available here at the library for you to pick up, and you would take those home and administer it yourself and mail it in. It does take 24 to 48 hours to get results back on those. And the library system is going through a feasibility study right now. You can access that more information about that at our webpage. There's a survey there that we would like you to take if you have the time. And we continue to have more events. The meeting rooms are going to be opening soon. Keep your eyes open. We will announce that on our website, but that will be happening really soon. And we're looking forward to being able to do in-person programs again in the near future. That's all I have right now. Does anybody have any questions?
Are you still giving away the COVID testing kits?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye. And Metro Parks, are you here? I didn't see Fred. All right, is there somebody I've missed? I don't see Leslie Barstow, Christina Lorello. Okay, any other liaisons? All right, thank you so much. And now Tiffany, or Destiny, excuse me. Destiny, you have an update on the TEM.
Yeah, hi everybody. So the TEM site on 6th and Orchard, just a really brief high level update for you. The last meeting, it was announced that there are currently 59 residents, but really good news, there's 44 of those residents are actually in transition to permanent housing. So it's a huge win, and they'll make some room for other folks to come in and get permanent housing in the future. For donations, they are asking for clothing and shoes for men, women, and children, and then candy and snacks for the kids for after school. And then Christmas decor and Christmas wrapping paper specifically. And then the next meeting, if you are interested, is going to be via Zoom on December 8th at 6 p.m. That's all I got.
And Destiny, could you send us the board that list of their needs?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
All righty. And we go to, okay, board, this is a short meeting this month. The next up is board elections. We have lost a lot of board members, and Destiny's has things have come up. She's moving on. Sean, our fabulous secretary, has moved to the north end. Looks like you're in your new house. I can tell by the architecture.
I still own a house in the West End, but it will probably be closed on first week of December. So I, at that point, technically cannot be on the West End board anymore.
That's right. So we have Jean, Kelly, Brian Depew, and myself who are up for re-election. And so we're, so if we need an election tonight, we can have one. Otherwise, I just assume that it's going to be, no one's going to complain and we can just accept all of our nominations and be voted in. Do I have, is that all right with that? Does anybody else want to run? We are looking for board members. And so-
Sherry, just a quick point of order. I was having trouble getting on, so I joined a little late. Has that been announced already? Who's applied or said they wanted to be on the board?
Jean Kelly.
Oh,
Brian-
okay. You're talking about the existing ones. Okay. I know there was some outside
Yeah,
interest.
and we haven't had anyone approach us about, being on the board, but I have looked it up and when I'm doing this and all my papers are spread over, I think it was section 7, Article 7, section 2 says that to be a board member, first majority must live in the West End. We can have 2 non-West End business owners who have business in the West End. And they have to attend 2 meetings, or they can be voted in by board consent as well. So we are looking for new board members and they could attend a couple of meetings, or if they want to just be sat immediately, the board could vote them in. And somewhere along in my Robert's Rules of Orders, I also saw that if something like this, with us 3 board members, we don't really need a vote. I can just ask everybody if they may have a problem with us 3 running for the board again. And if there's no problems, we can just be elected. Anybody object to us 3 running for the board? Okay, I would think that Brian, Jean, and I are still on the West End Neighborhood Council Board for another 2-year seat, unless someone should resign. So
I just want to thank you all for sticking on the board. We've had a lot of involved board members this last year and a half that I've been on the board, and the fact that so many people are leaving is a reflection, I think, of the nature of the board, but more the nature of people's lives and responsibilities. And I would encourage people to run, and hopefully over the course of the year you can find some more members.
Yes, I agree. Meanwhile, we're just going to do what we have to do to survive being a 3-member board. And getting information out to the public would be instrumental to the West End who wants to, start attending the West End meetings. We've had traditionally low turnout. And of course, during the pandemic doesn't make it any easier. So it's a challenge. So any questions about board elections? All right, new business. Are we there at new business? Looking for my notes. Only thing I have to say is that I did write up with Jean's help a Make a Splash grant, a city Make a Splash grant with environmental services for Titlow Park. I think I wrote it for about, I don't know, $1,800 or so, to do some water quality, so focusing on litter and dog poo at Titlow Park, and for new creative signage. So if Metro Parks would go beyond scoop, the scoop signs, and do something that would get people's attention, like even if no one's looking, you still have to pick up your dog's poop. And if all this goes through, they're willing to put it on the railroad fencing, which apparently is what it's railroad fencing, but Metro Park cares for it. So we're going to get those plastic corrugated like political signs and have signage made up. And when the vandals ruin a sign, we're going to have another one to take its place because we're ordering multiple signs. But it's to identify our watershed, which is I'm not looking at all my paperwork. The what Commencement Bay or West Slope watershed, and I think Titlow has its own little watershed too, called something else. Maybe it's a creek, but we're going to identify that. And we're going to work with Environmental Services Department on this grant. And then the West End Neighborhood Council is going to donate $500 of our private grant money from last year. So dog walkers in the park, like myself and others who are regulars, can pass out doggy bags all year to other dog walkers. Anyway, so that's what we've been up to. Any comments, new business? Is anybody from the from 48th Street here? That they had the issue with traffic in Ruston? Okay. And it's a reminder that we don't meet in December. So any questions? Yes, Anne. Jane, sorry, Jane.
Thank you. Could you, Sherry, can you explain how many board members do the bylaws call for the West End Neighborhood Council?
Oh, very good. Well, it said in our bylaws 5 to 11. 5 to 11, and we're down to 3. So what happens? I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think there's something about it's got to be an odd number.
And there should be an odd number, but we've been in violation of that too, but I don't know how you work around it. We've had 4. Well, we've had, well, I think we're at 8. We were at 8 up until tonight because we lost the 9th. And I just don't know the workaround for that.
Well, the odd numbers seems like, it's a goal, but it's unreasonable to think that, you're not going to lose a member and go to an even number, or gain a member and go to an even number. And so that may be something that needs to be revisited a little bit.
Yeah.
I think at the whole neighborhood council level.
So, I was mentioning to Jean and Brian that there's a woman in the North End who's doing Oscar's Enemies. It's a litter pickup group. And I think she's a social worker, and she goes there every month to different parts of the city. And she has such a following. It is incredible. And she came out with Litter Free 253, but you could tell she was an independent sort, and she was going to do her own thing. And she just helped us out that day with her own show. And that woman has had rave success, and she gets all these people, but she's on Instagram. I'm not sure, she's not using Nextdoor, which is my main outlet. But she's had phenomenal success getting people to clean up the city, which I'm totally happy about. I'm so glad they go out to all different kind of neighborhoods. But I guess in the West End, we have a lot of, I don't know what social media is widespread, and what our population is like, and what social media they use. Anybody have any suggestions?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Cecile. I'm very new here. I do live in the West End. I do have a suggestion. I'm very new here, so I don't know if you already have this. But having like an Instagram account and making an Instagram account, Instagram is very popular. Twitter is really good for local things. So things like the Tacoma Mutual Aid Collective, a lot of mutual aid operates through Twitter. Twitter is going to be able to kind of get your word out there once you like develop those followers, and it's really good because like you can kind of curate so that your followers can curate so that they can get more local stuff. So that's how I get a lot of my local information, is through Twitter.
Okay, and we are on Twitter, and I think we have an Instagram account, but we need to get that back from that member, and we need to do something more with it. But you're right, because that's what this Oscar's Enemies lady uses. It's phenomenal. So, well, good. I'm glad that you joined us, Cecil. That's very nice.
Yeah, I mean, while we do have the Twitter account is pretty active, and is pretty connected to most of the like local Tacoma organizations and whatnot, but the Instagram is definitely something that we, and one board member was doing it, but yeah, Sherry, I mean, if anyone will have to find someone is interested in taking over that. Are you interested in taking over that? But no, that is one thing that we have, you know, Instagram obviously has, like I said, I think Twitter is pretty robust, but we definitely need to boost our Instagram
Okay.
for sure.
All righty. If there's not any other new business, we can call this a short meeting. This is our shortest meeting we've had, and that's okay. It's November. There's no meeting in December. And then we start a new year, the third Wednesday in January. So I would call this meeting to close at 7:10 p.m. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I call this meeting adjourned.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you for all coming.